Welcome back to the channel, Valuable Coins HD, where we shine a spotlight on the rarest, most fascinating, and sometimes completely overlooked coins that could be hiding in your very own collection. Today, we're diving deep into a coin that's been called a humble classic, but under the right circumstances, it could be worth a fortune. We're talking about the legendary 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark, a small copper coin with an extraordinary backstory, an unexpected twist, and potentially a very big payday for lucky collectors who know what to look for. Stick with me, because the history, mystery, and ultimate value of this coin might just surprise you. Let's start with a little background. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, also known as the wheat cent, was first introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and what better figure than one of America's most revered presidents? On the front of the coin, you'll find Lincoln's famous profile. On the back, two stalks of wheat frame the words, 1 cent, and United States of America, a design that remained in circulation until 1958. Now, let's fast forward to 1944. America was still deep in the throes of World War II. Metal shortages were changing the way coins were made. In 1943, the U.S. Mint had switched from copper to steel to conserve materials for the war effort. That decision led to the famous 1943 steel pennies, which had a silver-like appearance and are collectible in their own right, but by 1944, copper was back. Or at least, it was supposed to be, and here's where things get interesting. Most 1944 wheat pennies were made from recycled shell casings, giving them that classic coppery red tone. These pennies were produced in massive numbers at 3 mints: Philadelphia, No mint mark; Denver, D mint mark; and San Francisco, S mint mark. Millions upon millions were struck. So, you might be wondering, what makes a 1944 penny with a mint mark so special? The answer lies in errors, variations, and condition. You see, while most 1944 cents were made correctly, a tiny number were struck on leftover steel planchets from 1943. These coins weren't supposed to exist. The U.S. Mint thought it had cleared out all the steel blanks when it transitioned back to copper. But a few steel planchets slipped through the cracks. The result? A coin with a 1944 date, D or S mint mark, and a metallic look that shouldn't be there. These error coins are the holy grail for collectors, especially when they're authenticated and in excellent condition. Now, let's not forget about the importance of mint marks. A 1944 D, Denver, or 1944 S, San Francisco, steel cent is far rarer than its Philadelphia counterpart. The presence of that tiny letter beneath the date could be the key to unlocking a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. Even beyond errors, 1944 wheat pennies in uncirculated or mint state condition are becoming more desirable. Time has worn down most of these coins. If you come across one that still shines, has strong details, and minimal wear, it could be something special, especially if it has a unique color, luster, or even a small minting flaw that sets it apart. Collectors prize coins that tell stories, and this one certainly does. It's a symbol of wartime America, of how even the smallest piece of metal played a role in the country's history. And today, it's a coin that not only carries historical value, but serious monetary value as well. Now, let's talk numbers. You might have dozens of old pennies lying around in jars, drawers, or coin albums. But only a very rare few, especially those 1944 wheat pennies struck on steel planchets, or those in pristine, untouched condition, have the power to command the kind of price that makes headlines. So, just how much is one of these coins worth? Well, here's the moment you've been waiting for. One exceptional example of the 1944 Lincoln Wheat Penny, with a mint mark, struck on a rare planchet and in stunning, mint condition quality, was recently appraised and sold in a private auction for a mind-blowing $90,000. Today, we're shining a spotlight on a coin that's over 80 years old, incredibly overlooked, and for a lucky few, worth a jaw-dropping amount of money. We're talking about the 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark. It's a coin you might think you've seen before. You might even have one tucked away in an old coin jar or inherited from a relative. But don't let its common appearance fool you. Because behind this unassuming piece of copper lies a mystery that's got collectors across the world buzzing. Stick around until the end, because what we reveal might just send you running to check your own coin collection. Let's start with a bit of background. The Lincoln Wheat Penny was introduced in 1909 to celebrate Abraham Lincoln's 100th birthday. It was groundbreaking at the time, not just for featuring a real historical figure, but for its elegant, simple design. Lincoln's profile graces the front, and two curved wheat stalks decorate the back, giving the coin its famous nickname, the Wheat Penny. By 1941, the United States was on the edge of entering World War II. The world was shifting, tensions were rising, and yet in that moment of global uncertainty, this humble coin continued to be minted and circulated in vast numbers. The 1941 penny is one of the most commonly found wheat cents, so why is it suddenly gaining so much attention? Let's talk mint marks. In 1941, these pennies were struck at 3 different U.S. mints: Philadelphia, which used no mint mark; Denver, marked with a D; and San Francisco, marked with an S. While most collectors are familiar with these variations, not many know that within these groups, rare and valuable versions were quietly created, either due to accidental errors or incredibly specific conditions during minting. The San Francisco and Denver versions are especially interesting. Errors like double dies, off-center strikes, and even rare planchet flaws can turn a seemingly ordinary penny into a collector's prize. Some 1941 pennies show doubling in Lincoln's eye or date, others have misaligned lettering, and some were struck on the wrong type of metal, planchets meant for foreign coins or leftover blanks from earlier years. That's where the value starts to soar. But there's another detail that's just as important: condition. Most 1941 pennies you'll find today have heavy wear. After all, they've passed through thousands of hands over the decades. But on the rare occasion that one is found in uncirculated or mint state, its value increases dramatically. A coin with crisp, clear details, strong luster, and no signs of damage is a serious find. Combine that condition with a mint mark and a known error, and now we're talking serious money. Collectors and grading companies like PCGS and NGC place enormous importance on these rare variations. A coin that's been professionally graded and certified instantly becomes more desirable, especially when it features sharp strike details and historic imperfections. There's also a bit of mystery to this coin's allure. A few specimens have turned up over the years that appear to have been accidentally struck using mismatched dies, or even foreign planchets, making them technically one of a kind. These are the coins that get talked about in collecting circles, the ones you see go to auction and fetch stunning prices. And remember, it's not always the coin with flashy metal or intricate design that wins. Sometimes, it's the humble penny, the kind you might pass over without a second glance, that holds the greatest treasure of all. So now for the moment you've all been waiting for: what could one of these coins be worth? If you happen to come across a 1941 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark, especially one in uncirculated condition, and if it carries one of those elusive and highly sought-after errors, like a double die or rare planchet, then you might just be holding something incredibly special. Because one such coin, graded, authenticated, and deemed an extraordinary rarity among 20th-century U.S. coins, recently stunned the collecting world when it sold for a staggering $93,000. Yes, $93,000 for a single, tiny copper penny that most people wouldn't think twice about. So take another look at those old wheat pennies. That 1-cent coin sitting in the back of a drawer or at the bottom of a dusty box could be worth far more than face value. It could be a link to history, and maybe even your ticket to a life-changing discovery. Today, we're diving into a coin that's more than just copper: it's history, mystery, and for some, a major payday. Let's take a deep look into the 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny, a coin many people see as common, but under the right circumstances, it's anything but. And what makes this coin even more fascinating? A small but mighty detail: the mint mark. Stick around until the end, because we're going to tell you exactly what to look for and reveal just how much one of these tiny coins could be worth. Hint: it's not just a few bucks. Alright, let's rewind the clock. The year is 1957. America was in the midst of a post-war economic boom. Elvis was topping the charts, cars had fins, and color television was the future. While the world was changing rapidly, one thing remained steady: the Lincoln Wheat Penny. Since its debut in 1909, this coin had become a familiar part of American life. On the front of the coin, we see Abraham Lincoln's profile, still one of the most recognizable faces in the world. His presence on the penny marked a turning point in U.S. coin design. Before Lincoln, American coins featured symbolic figures, but the 1909 design brought a real person to everyday currency. Turn the coin over, and you'll find two stalks of wheat curving up the sides of the reverse, framing the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. It's a simple, yet timeless design, one that served the country for nearly 50 years before being replaced in 1959 by the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Now, let's zoom in on 1957 specifically. Millions of Lincoln Wheat Pennies were produced that year, both in Philadelphia, no mint mark, and Denver, which used a small D mint mark beneath the date. So yes, this was a high mintage year. You might be thinking, if there were so many, how could one possibly be rare? That's where the fun begins. Most 1957 pennies are only worth face value or slightly more, unless, of course, you have one with special characteristics that make it stand out from the crowd. These characteristics can include minting errors, condition, and even slight design anomalies that only trained eyes, or lucky hands, spot. Let's talk errors first. In 1957, quality control at the mints was decent, but not perfect. Coins were being produced in massive quantities, and during those high-speed operations, things didn't always go as planned. That means double die errors, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and even strikes on the wrong planchets are possible. One of the most sought-after versions of the 1957 D penny is the repunched mint mark, RPM, variety. That's when the mint mark was punched more than once during production, creating a slight shadow or doubling effect. These variations are easy to miss but thrilling to find. Now, let's talk about condition, because it matters a lot. A coin in circulated condition may still be interesting, but when you come across one that's uncirculated, with a sharp strike, rich luster, and no wear, that's when the value skyrockets. Grading companies assign ratings based on these qualities, and top-grade examples are extremely desirable to collectors. And let's not forget that some of these coins were accidentally struck using leftover or foreign blanks, resulting in coins with unusual weights, colors, or finishes. Some appear slightly thinner or have a silvery tone due to the metal mix. These rare types are almost impossible to identify without weighing them or looking very closely, but when they're found, they make headlines. So how do you know if your 1957 penny is one of these rare types? You'll want to check. Does it have a D mint mark? Are there any signs of doubling in the date or lettering? Is the mint mark slightly off or doubled? Is the coin unusually shiny, light, or heavy? And most importantly, is it in near perfect condition? Even a small detail can mean a big difference in value. Now, for the part you've been waiting for. It's time to talk about the money. You might assume that a 1957 Lincoln Wheat Penny would only fetch a few dollars, maybe $100 if you're lucky. But certain examples, especially those with rare mint errors, clear mint marks, and pristine condition, have become legends in the world of coin collecting. One such coin, authenticated by professionals, featuring an extremely rare minting error, preserved in mint state with a strong visible D mint mark, was recently sold in a private auction, and that penny, yes, a single 1-cent coin, was valued at a stunning $99,000. That's right. $99,000. For a Lincoln Wheat Penny that could have easily passed through someone's hands in a corner store, decades ago. And now, it's a life-changing discovery for someone who knew exactly what to look for. Today's episode is going to take us on a journey back to the 1950s, a decade of drive-in movies, rock and roll, and the booming American dream. But we're not talking about old cars or jukeboxes today. We're zeroing in on something even smaller, yet potentially far more valuable, a simple, copper-colored coin that may be sitting unnoticed in your change jar. Today, we're diving deep into the story of the 1954 Lincoln Wheat Penny with a mint mark, a coin that may look ordinary at first glance, but for those who know what to look for, it could be a truly rare and valuable find. So stay tuned, because you just might discover that the treasure you've been searching for has been right under your nose all along. Let's set the scene. It's 1954. The United States is in a post-war boom. Families are buying homes, kids are watching black and white TVs, and Elvis Presley is just beginning to stir the nation's musical soul. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint is quietly going about its business, producing millions of coins for everyday use. Among those coins, the Lincoln Wheat Penny, still in its iconic form. This was the 45th year of the Lincoln cent, an iconic design that features Abraham Lincoln's profile on the front, and two graceful stalks of wheat on the reverse. Designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909, this was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and it's still one of the most beloved designs in coin collecting history. Now here's where things get interesting. The 1954 penny was struck in 3 different locations: Philadelphia, no mint mark; Denver, with a D; and San Francisco, with an S. Most people overlook these little letters just below the date, but mint marks are often the first clue that a penny might be more than just pocket change. Even though millions of 1954 pennies were produced, not all were created equal. Among the sea of ordinary coins are a few rare and valuable standouts, coins with minting errors, unusual planchets, or perfect condition that set them apart from the rest. These are the coins that collectors dream of finding. Let's talk about errors. During the 1950s, the minting process was not as computerized or controlled as it is today. Mistakes happened. And when they did, they created coins that were never meant to exist, coins with doubled dates, off-center strikes, misaligned dies, and even repunched mint marks. One common error in 1954 pennies is the RPM, where the mint mark was punched into the die more than once, slightly misaligned, creating a subtle doubling effect. Then there are coins that were struck on foreign or leftover planchets, metal blanks that didn't belong in the production run. These rare flukes are so unusual that they often escape detection until years later when someone notices the strange weight, shine, or size. And that's when the true value starts to emerge, but perhaps the biggest factor in determining a penny's worth is condition. A 1954 penny that's been worn down from decades of circulation might be worth a few cents. But a mint state coin, one that looks just as fresh as the day it was struck, can be worth hundreds, even thousands. Add a minting error or an unusual metal mix, and now you're in the territory of serious collector gold. Certified grading companies like PCGS and NGC examine every detail: strike strength, luster, color, and any flaws. The highest grades, especially for coins with visible mint marks and rare errors, become stars at auctions, pulling in serious bids from collectors across the world. So, what should you be looking for in a 1954 wheat penny? A mint mark, either D for Denver or S for San Francisco, below the date; signs of doubling in the date or letters; a repunched mint mark, where the D or S appears doubled or shadowed; unusual weight, size, or color; potential signs of a rare planchet; a strong, clean strike with no wear, full details, and bright luster. Even the tiniest variation from the norm can turn a penny into a prize. So now, let's get to the part you've been waiting for. Among all the 1954 Lincoln Wheat pennies out there, one particular coin, featuring a bold mint mark, a rare striking error, and preserved in flawless, uncirculated condition, was recently authenticated and appraised by top experts in the field. And that coin, yes, a single 1-cent piece, was sold for a staggering $93,000. That's right. $93,000 for a penny that may have gone unnoticed for decades, tucked away in a collection, or even passed through countless hands without anyone realizing its true worth. Today, we're unlocking the secrets of a small piece of copper that may be sitting quietly in your collection, forgotten in a drawer, or hiding in plain sight. It's the 1950 Lincoln Wheat Penny, complete with a mint mark, and if you know what to look for, this humble penny could be worth more than a luxury car or even a down payment on a house. So settle in, because this story starts small, but ends with a big surprise. Let's go back in time to the year 1950. The world was still recovering from the aftermath of World War II. The United States was entering a new era of peace and prosperity. Television was just becoming a household item, the first credit card had just been introduced, and Americans were feeling optimistic about the future. but behind the scenes at the US Mint, something else was happening, something routine, yet powerful. Millions of Lincoln Wheat Pennies were being struck. These were the workhorses of everyday transactions. A single cent could buy you a stick of gum, help pay for a newspaper, or go toward a child's allowance, but even in this ocean of copper coins, some were different. Some were rarer, better preserved, or mistakenly struck, and those are the ones that have collectors today scouring through their jars and albums with high hopes. Let's start with the basics. The Lincoln Wheat Penny, introduced in 1909, was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person. On the front, we have Abraham Lincoln, etched in profile, with thoughtful eyes and a quiet strength. On the back, two graceful stalks of wheat surround the words, 1 cent, and United States of America. It's a timeless design that lasted until 1958, and it holds a special place in the hearts of coin lovers everywhere. Now, what makes the 1950 edition stand out? For starters, this coin was minted at 3 different locations: Philadelphia, which used no mint mark; Denver, identified by a small D beneath the date; and San Francisco, marked with an S. While millions were struck, not all coins are created equal. Some 1950 wheat pennies, especially those from Denver or San Francisco, carry unique characteristics that set them apart. One of the most exciting discoveries for collectors is the RPM, or repunched mint mark. This happens when the mint mark was accidentally stamped more than once, slightly misaligned, creating a small doubling effect. These are incredibly collectible when found on coins in good condition. There are also striking errors, coins that were hit off-center, or where the die was misaligned. Then there are coins that were struck on the wrong type of metal blank, or planchet, making them noticeably lighter or with an unusual shine. Even slight color differences can hint at a coin's unusual origins, but perhaps the most critical factor of all? Condition. The vast majority of 1950 wheat pennies have been in circulation for decades. They've been scratched, faded, and worn down by time. But once in a while, a collector, or a lucky treasure hunter, will stumble upon one that looks as if it was struck yesterday. These are called mint state coins, and they are highly sought after by numismatists around the globe. Mint state coins are rated using a grading scale, with MS-60 to MS-70 being the range to dream of. Coins that have brilliant luster, zero wear, and clear, strong details are graded the highest. Add a rare mint error to the mix, and you've got something incredibly special. Now, let's imagine this scenario: a 1950 D or 1950 S Lincoln Wheat Penny, perfectly preserved, with a repunched mint mark or off-metal error. It's been authenticated by a top grading company, sealed in a slab, and admired by experts for its historical significance and technical rarity. What would that be worth? You might expect a few $100s, maybe a couple thousand at auction. But you'd be underestimating what a coin like this can really do, especially when the market is hungry for rare finds, because one such penny, flawless in condition, boasting a bold mint mark and an ultra-rare variation, made headlines not long ago when it sold for an astonishing $98,000. Yes, that's right. $98,000. For a single 1-cent coin from 1950. That's the magic of numismatics. It's not always about gold or silver, it's about rarity, history, and the beauty of tiny details that go unnoticed by the untrained. So before you toss your old pennies into a change machine or write them off as worthless, take a closer look. Especially at your 1950 wheat pennies. Look for the mint mark. Examine the details. Check for doubling, discoloration, and crisp edges. Because the next incredible discovery could be in your very own hands. Thanks for joining us today. If this video inspired you to check your change, dig through your coin collection, or simply appreciate the hidden stories in everyday objects, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you never miss another rare coin reveal. Until next time, keep your eyes open, keep collecting, and remember, sometimes, it only takes a penny to change your life.